What's up, Rockstars? Welcome to another news video. I have some great things to show you. Some brand new games I haven't covered before, some things that are just now ending, and some drama at the end that I really need to talk about when it comes to the industry, and I guess just some general statements around content creators. Alright, we're going to do things in a bit of a different order this time. I'm actually going to start with some things that I want to show that are coming up. So May 24th is The Last Spell, the board game. This is by Tabula Games, and they have something that I think looks really cool. At least the visual style, it looks awesome. I love all the kind of pinkish purple stuff going on here, but if I scroll down here, you're going to notice pixel art and you're going to notice minis, and they're kind of like a cartoony style mini, but like in a really fun way. It kind of actually reminds me of, I don't know, just there's a few games that are kind of like this, but more than often than not, you don't get minis that look like this. And so I actually kind of appreciate that. You can see kind of the map here. Notice there's a lot of like extra space, it almost looks like, at the side, but this is actually gameplay because this is a tower defense co-op game that you're kind of going through. And in fact, you're going to go through different scenarios on it. Honestly, though, it looks pretty darn neat. So I don't know, too much more about it, but you can see the pixel art versus not. And then, of course, they have a big shot of the minis and stuff like this. And this isn't even all of them. Like, it looks pretty darn cool. It's got some 3D elements going on there. Again, love the pixel art. It actually has this contest here. Only 3 days left to go on this. So feel free to follow the link in the description below, and good luck to you guys. It'd be awesome if somebody in the community won that, I think. But this looks neat to me. I kind of dig this, so I'm definitely interested. I'll be on the lookout on this one. This is The Last Spell. All right, after that, we have Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. I've shared this before, but that is coming out May 30th, so still be on the lookout for that. This is the Apocalypse expansion that goes all the way to the Kingdom of Cambodia, according to them. And I must say, I love the shift in design and the look and feel. Like, it just, look how green that is. It'll be awesome, I think, and definitely something different. So that's pretty cool. We have Terrascape still available, but only for a few more hours. As you can see, 19 hours at the time of recording. So by the time you guys get this, it's just about done. Link in the description below, along with everything else, plus more. There's probably a ton of links down there. So feel free to check those out. And if you appreciate that, give the video a like on your way up. I do try to keep track of a lot of that for you guys, for your convenience. But this is awesome. 712,000 raised. They only wanted 19,000 as the goal. It's wild. They've done such a good job with this, and I think a lot of people are going to be really happy with it. It's just something different, right? I mean, when did you put this on a table where you had all these like crazy, wacky, varied like enemies, and then you have like the typical kind of survivors, and I don't know, it just seems fun. And then the table presence, my goodness, super duper cool there. The Hunters AD 1492 also wrapping up. They have about a day left at the time of recording, but just a smidge more than 24 hours by the time I launch this video. And again, if you missed any of my videos and maybe you're not subscribed, go ahead and do that. It does help the channel out. Views are what's important. In other words, me helping people is important, and the more people I can reach to help, obviously, is great. But nobody pays attention to that. They always pay attention to the subscription, and YouTube half the time doesn't show you stuff that, you even tell them to, nonetheless, that you don't. So subscribing does help. I do appreciate it, of course. 357,000. That's really, really cool of them to do. And again, it's just going to go higher and higher. So that's really neat. And honestly, this was kind of like the calm before the storm. Like, this launched right before some big names that we're going to get into here soon. So I think they did quite good as an indie developer working on that. A Hot Nick is also out now. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. They have 31,000 raised, and they need 37,000. So they're kind of right there. So 17 days ago, 162 backers. The minis in this look awesome. I really do dig this. It's just mechs fighting demons, apparently. So think like Pacific Rim, but instead of kaiju demons. And I think you kind of got a little bit of it here. But again, these minis, the design of them is super neat. I think the color on the minis hurts a little bit. I think typically gray is what most people are used to seeing, but also some colors just don't work very well when it comes to showing detail, especially on the final product. It might look really, really cool, but what you want is like some detail that you can see. And normally a gray works good for that. Also, I think the board is kind of ugly, so I would prefer the board to be a little bit different too. But oh well. Either way, hopefully they can continue to raise funds and make their dreams come true, and people can do all these like spin dials and stuff. And there's like a lot of stuff going on here, for sure. I wanted to show you. Yeah, look at this. That's like their like sun dropped kind of prototype thing, but looks awesome. So feel free to check out that. Support your indies. Next up, we have Leviathan Wild. This is from Mood Crab Games. Over 100,000 raised. Over 2,500 backers. Still 12 days to go. This is like Shadows of the Colossus Meeple Edition. So you're going across these giant bad guys, or these Leviathans. I don't know if they're bad, I guess. And it's like a competitive game where you're like, tossing people off and setting traps and doing all that sort of stuff. And just seems very, very interesting for sure. And there's definitely some, the people working on this definitely know their stuff. So definitely kind of a cool take there. And the price is $59. And I think perhaps that's kind of a little bit of an issue. First of all, it says something like save 10 on the estimated MSRP, but you're also paying for shipping, which will undo the savings that you did. So we definitely need more than just a smidge of savings when it comes to giving our money so much earlier. This is February 2024 by the time you get it. So that's a value proposition, I think. Like even showing $59 here, but then you don't show a whole lot here. Obviously, there's more to it than this, but you're not showing it, right? So I think a lot of it is just being able to show it off better. And I don't know. I'm not quite sure about the price. I want to see that on a few different ones here. Evolution: Another World also launched an even 1,400 backers at the time of showing this, and an even 64,888. Look at that. Those are all cool numbers. Honestly, I expect to see this going up. I think this looks really, really cool. I had actually never heard of the Evolution series, but I've started looking into it because this looked neat to me. The one thing I will say, because I think it looks pretty cool and I bet it plays quite nice. And if you've played it, let me know. But the actual tier here, the retail version of $30, which is okay. I think $30 is fine. The $45 for the special edition, I'm not exactly sure how worth it that is. I struggle to pay too much for card games. I love card games, but even then, I mean, $30 for this, it just doesn't seem like it's a whole lot. 64 Evolution cards, I don't know. I guess I struggle to see how many plays I would get with this. So let me know if you've played Evolution, what you think about the pricing, of the variety on play and stuff like that, especially this version of it. I guess other versions play differently. Guards of Atlantis 2 is also still up, but only 5 days left to go. They're doing quite nice, 729,000 here. I was kind of looking, and maybe I'm missing it here, but I'm not seeing like stretch goals. Are they not doing that? Is that not a thing? That seems silly here. I got stretch pay, but that's definitely not what I want. So I don't know. Anyway, they have their stuff available. I've shown it off a few times to you guys. All right, next up we have Sanctuary Dungeon Tales. This is interesting. 91,000 raised, almost 92, 522 backers. It looks to me like this is pretty much Dungeons and Lasers. And that it's the same, I think, kind of idea, concept, style, whatever. Because what you're getting here is you're getting a ton of minis, 220 minis, a whole bunch of dungeon stuff, and some, 5e D&D style kind of RPG stuff, which again is a lot like Dungeons and Lasers. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think more options for people is better. I think that's awesome. The dragon shooting the like scare face fire thing is an interesting choice. I do like the frog though. I'm always down with frogs. They're doing the typical thing that you see often on Kickstarter where you're able to put stuff on the base. I think it's always kind of cool. Apparently, there are dungeon tiles and stuff you can write on, which is super cool, I imagine. And then, of course, they have all the walls and stuff like that, so you can kind of mix and match and combine all that. Even the breakdown of like seeing the little box sets like this remind me of Dungeons and Lasers. So it's kind of funny to kind of see them do stuff like that. I think that's awesome. And of course, then you see all the minis. Yeah, interesting take on stuff. Definitely not something I need, but I think a lot of people are gonna like the different terrain and stuff like that. And it should come in a little bit cheaper, perhaps too. because it's not like the Hips minis and stuff like that. All right, next up we have Dead Cells. This is at 520,000. I think it's done quite well. I'm currently backing this, but I'm not sure if I will continue to. I really like the video game. I need to look more into how this actually plays. So I'm going to be looking at that before I finally pull the trigger. But I could really use that 86. And I could really use that because I'm also backing Aeon Trespass Odyssey. We'll cover that in a moment. Monster Hunter World is up, almost $1 million raised, over 6,000 backers, almost 7,000 backers. A very strong outpouring of support to this. Though do note, the original one I think had like 20,000 backers, so definitely less, so it is a standard expansion. I've seen talk about SFG having a lot out there. Totally agree. I don't think they have been wrapping these up as quickly as they need to be. For sure, or they're launching them too quickly, one or the other. Either way, I know we all worry about that. What I will say is that they did deliver Monster Hunter World and then launched this and are riding that hype wave, and the people are enjoying the game that they just got and might want more. And honestly, that's the way you should do it, right? Make the game, deliver it, say, hey, you want some more, here it is. So I do support that flow, and I hope they continue to follow stuff like that where they deliver it and then offer a new one. I think that's smart. 8.1 on BGG, which is quite impressive. To be perfectly honest, it was one of my least favorite boss battlers as a boss battler. It was a very fun crafting game, though. I very much enjoyed that. So it just all depends on what you want, what your preferences are. It's a very light boss battler when it comes to like, I don't know, just tactics and stuff like that. It plays closer to like a normal board game. And a lot of boss battlers are really chunky, and this one isn't so much that. So it definitely has that going for it, which is kind of nice. Apex Legends also is out. So it was 19 days ago. It's getting towards 500,000. Again, this was definitely a lower output than I had anticipated. But I think I've seen several of you guys mention Six Siege when it comes to this, and feeling like I just put a whole bunch of money towards Six Siege. I struggle to find the desire to put more towards something that looks so similar. Kind of an interesting take on that. I get it. I totally get it. I doubt they anticipated that perhaps when launching this. I think it looks pretty cool. Again, I think the cost is really rough there. They got the cool dioramas there. In case you haven't seen it, this is what like every character gets. This really super premium stuff. But I don't know. It's like you're getting like essentially 4 minis for like $87 or something. It just, I don't know. Like, what do you get? 1, 2, you get 3 of these, I guess. I don't know. People were complaining that you get the cardboard and miniature version of it too. Like, what the heck is that about? It just, I don't know. I'm not sure the variety is there unless you go kind of all in. And if you go all in, you're paying a lot for just a couple of minis. And then, of course, the terrain and everything else, and, you know, all the dioramas and whatnot. But it's fairly light on components, besides the terrain, which is kind of hefty, which is cool. I think it probably plays really good that way. I don't necessarily need a bajillion components, but the price is pretty high for what you get. You're definitely buying a more premium product here, and I think that just turns off a lot of people, especially when it comes to IP games with video games, because a lot of people are going to be playing Apex Legends, love the video game, be like, oh man, they made a board game? That's kind of cool. Is it like Monopoly? They're going to come here and they're going to get sticker shock, right? They're going to be like, oh my gosh, it's so expensive. I feel the same thing can happen with Elden Ring for a lot of people. They are not used to the prices that I think a lot of us are used to on board games on Kickstarter. And so they hear a board game and they're thinking the aisle in Target. And so then they come here and they're like, oh my gosh, this is how much? $250 for a board game? Are you crazy? So I think people or companies, when they're using IP that could get new people into the industry, need to realize what new people are going to react to when it comes to typical prices in this industry. Aeon Trespass Odyssey. Doing quite well, almost at 2.5 million, almost 6,000 raised. They are definitely doing quite good on that. I haven't seen a lot of uptake on new people coming in for Aeon Trespass Odyssey. A lot of it, I think, is repeat, which is kind of interesting because normally when I look at reprints, I look at returning backers and how many people are coming back for more. But I don't typically talk about, how many people are coming in fresh. And that's it's kind of hard to see because we don't know how many people are like adding add-ons and stuff like that as well. And they definitely pushed for the new stuff early on. when it comes to some of their pledge tiers. So it's hard to judge that, but I think I'll start noting that because I think that's important too, right? How many new people are coming in? They did announce Autumn, so I'll cover Autumn real quick. You can see some of the different characters and stuff like that. Some of the typical stuff here. You'll notice a lot of nature stuff, and I think you're going to see that a lot because if you look at like the primordials and stuff down here, you're going to see a lot of more natural looking stuff, right? So that's kind of cool. I really dig the difference in visual theme to that. I think that's really nice to see all those changes here. This guy is probably my favorite. I think he looks super cool. I just like his big kind of like, I don't know, angled hump triangle thing going on there. I think that's cool. And then of course you get your Titan on 4 legs there. That's pretty neat. I think that's kind of cool. Though I don't know if they're really legs. These all look kind of like hands, kind of weird, whatever. You get this chick here. You get this chick here, which has this cool freaking, I love this weapon here. And then you get this guy here, which I think is also cool too, the Murderer. Looks super cool. So definitely, and then go through a whole bunch of others. So there's a ton of stuff here. I don't know. Anyway, we'll see how it keeps going because, like I said, it was very front heavy. Obviously, I think they're going to reach 2.5 million for sure. Going to the campaign, I was going to show you right now. I'm in this one, the Fates Pledge, for $484. It's a lot of money, but I am really enjoying Aeon Odyssey, and I hope I enjoy this as well. So, with that in mind, I wanted to kind of talk about something that came up. And I'm going to try and talk about it not as casually as I tend to do. This is unscripted, of course, so if I sound stupid, I don't mean to sound stupid anytime, but I really want to kind of cover this because Quackalope made a couple videos, namely a 9.3 Aeon Trespass Odyssey is a masterpiece, followed by the horrible truth of Aeon Trespass Odyssey. It is unplayable. Now, a few things to note here. First of all, this is not an attack at Quack or anything like that. Jesse is doing what he thinks is best for his viewers, and I do what I think is best for my viewers, and there's nothing wrong with that. He's just doing what he's doing for the people that subscribe to him, which is quite a few. He's definitely been successful. So, no, like I'm not trying to tell him what he needs to do with his channel or anything like that. I'm going to say how I view our position, ours being his and mine, and talk a little bit about the nuance of it so that you guys have a better understanding of this side. Now, a few things here. One, I guess I'm going to talk, first of all, quickly. Notice the view count difference, 4,000 and 6.1 thousand, and this happened first. I think this is something that is just natural human nature. It's something that is well documented and researched, especially in the social media age. There's a lot of research around making people angry, making people upset, saying things that are negative, being negative, in that you tend to be drawn towards it. People do for a variety of reasons. You agree with it or you don't. Either way, you're clicking on the video. Either way, you're watching that post or whatever it is. But that doesn't mean it's all malicious either. For instance, I have been on this, so I always try to shoot straight with you guys. You guys know that. And I don't always like the super popular things. For instance, Monster Hunter World, 20,000 people, or Nemesis, right? Tons of people love Nemesis, and that's awesome. I personally didn't. And that's fine. It's fine to have an opinion, but if your opinion isn't the popular opinion, a lot of people will assume that you're faking it, that you're just doing it for that, just because it happens to get more, because you happen to have something that's counter what the norm is. And you can't always pick your opinions, right? You can't always just go with the flow of whatever's popular. And in fact, we shouldn't want that from people. So if you see somebody posting something that is counter the norm, I guess don't inherently think it's meant just to get clicks. It's facetious and not being honest about their true opinion, stuff like that. So FYI on that. Now, how can this be both? Honestly, I don't know. I've not watched either video, so I'm not passing judgment on either of those and what's said in them. I've heard what's said in them, but I've not personally watched it, so I'm not going to comment on that because honestly, this isn't the point of this. What is the point is this one right here. Antros Velocity is unplayable. Let me give you a quick example. So Monster Hunter World is out right now. And there was recently an article about how SFG laid off some employees or marked them as redundant. Either way, cut their staff. And it was made, obviously, when this launched. And then I covered it when this was live. I said the word fired on the thumbnail because that's how it's a generic term to me. I don't distinguish between the two, or three, or however many ways there are, saying somebody needs to not work at your company anymore. And the focus was on how it affected the employees and not necessarily how the company viewed the action. So to me, it was kind of a moot point, but SFG reached out and kind of explained, hey, this is kind of what happened, and wanted to provide more information, which is awesome of them to do because before they kind of said they weren't going to comment on it. So I do appreciate that reaching out. But I updated my thumbnail to more accurately reflect what happened. Now, did I have to do that? No. However, I feel, and this is kind of the point here, I feel like we as content creators do have an impact. And so what we say, in a way, does matter. Now, I've not always held this opinion very strongly. I very much went into this industry, went into this, whatever I'm doing here on YouTube, as I'm just a guy with a camera. I'm just sharing my opinions. I'm not trying to be a journalist or be press or anything like that. And then I noticed that what I say matters. Rewind a little bit to when I am covering Wild Ascent Levon Rising. I did not like Wild Ascent Levon Rising very much. I didn't really care for Wild Ascent either, and I didn't see very much improvement on that. I did see improvement on the system in Storm Thunder. This is all from Lazy Squire Games. Now, normally, as a reviewer, if something looks bad to you, you just say no thank you. You don't want to review a bad game. You have no desire to force yourself to play a game you don't like and then make a video that's negative saying you don't like it and then everybody being upset at you or whatever. There's a natural selection. So all coverage trends positive for that reason. Because again, if it looks like crap, you just say no. Like, you have no idea how many crap games or people are like, oh, do you want to review that? I'm like, I would hate that game. No, why would I? You don't want me to review that. I don't want to review that. Like, of course, I am not the target audience of that game. Go market it to somebody who likes bad games. No, but so there's a natural selection there. So it's a little rare that one slips by that you're like, oh, I thought I would have liked that, and I ended up not. And then it's really important to share that with your viewers, right? Because obviously your viewers typically align at least somewhat to you. And so if you thought you might like it, they might think they might like it too, and they might be interested in hearing why you actually didn't. So I put out the video, and I essentially said, you guys should buy Storm Thunder. I think it's a better fit for people like me that like this and that and this. And I think that's a better iteration of this inherent system of Wild Ascent. So I made that video entitled like just back Storm Thunder or whatever, and it was fairly critical and negative on Wild Ascent Levon Rising. And that very day, their funding dropped, I think, about $8,000 in total. So really, obviously, new people came in, but also people left. In fact, so much, at least $8,000 worth did. Now, I am not saying there's a direct line between my video and $8,000 in their bank. And actually, I would probably say that there's probably a bigger trend line, considering I know that thousands of people clicked my link to Storm Thunder. Many, did their link to Wild Ascent. I'm sure the pledge manager for Storm Thunder did see at least a little bit of an uptick when I made that video. So, but I have no line of sight to any of that. And honestly, that isn't the point. The point is it made me realize that, especially when the Kickstarter is live, when there's a campaign live and the company's actively saying, hey, here's our new thing, come buy it, please, that the content that I make or that any of us make does actually affect things, does actually affect people and companies for better or worse, whether we want it to or not. And so it's a balancing act from our perspective on being able to be honest with you guys on how we feel and being responsible with the power that we have. I'm not saying I'm like some hot stuff or anything like that. I mean, Quack over here is at 48,000 subs. I'm like less than half that. Okay. So like, I'm not trying to boast. I'm not trying to be egotistical. I'm trying to be real with you guys and to kind of the thought processes I've had. Now, I tend to be very casual in my speech, and I tend to be very passionate about this industry, and I tend to not be a perfect person emotionally or mentally or physically or anything in any way, shape, or form. I am a flawed human being, as I think most of us are. So I have taken some time and made missteps along the way to try and improve how I act on this channel. I hope in my recent reviews you've seen a bit more professionalism. I hope in how I cover things like this perhaps are a bit more nuanced, and I always welcome feedback, especially if I can take that feedback and not cry from it, but instead improve from it, so actual improvement can happen. I'm all for it, or just reinforcing good things. I'm good with treats as just like a dog would be. But anyway, that's kind of my point here, I guess, is regardless of whether it's kosher or not to put 9.3 Masterpiece, This Game is Garbage right next to each other, regardless of the content in those, just, I guess, care should be put in how we cover things, because how we cover things matters. Because you guys matter, because you guys hold a lot of sway. You guys hold all the cards. It's your wallets that pay for these companies. And if you feel you align with one of us and we say something, you're bound to think, okay, yeah, that's probably right. And maybe it is, and that's fine. But I guess if nothing else, maybe we should be a little bit more consistent in our communication and how we speak about things. So anyway, I guess one more point on this. So I was talking to SFG, right, about their Monster Hunter thing and the whole firing thing and all that. And I was talking to my patrons. And one of the things I kind of explained to them, because the old me, right, the channel that you guys knew a couple years back would have been like, screw game devs, I don't care about burning bridges or anything like that, you know, just screw them all, it's us and them and all that. And while I make videos for you guys specifically, burning bridges only hurts you guys. It hurts my ability to get you the information you need. I responded to SFG with some questions that I hope they can help answer, that I can then relay to you to either reassure you or whatever, either way, make you more informed. And if I'm not willing to be professional in my interactions with companies, even as a critic, even as somebody who comments and on the industry, both positively and negatively, all I'm doing is hurting you guys and your ability to have that information, because then they won't talk to me. And if they're not willing to talk to me, then how am I supposed to share that information with you? How am I supposed to find out that information that can be helpful for you guys? So it's kind of a balancing act, right? I thought about like the like presidential dinner, I don't know what it's called, that the press has. And you see all these different press, and they were like at this cushy dinner with like all these different politicians that they should be reporting on. And I think about movies like The Post and stuff like that, and how you have to, you can have a working relationship with people, and that's really what it is. Now, you have your responsibility, and they have their responsibility, right? SFG's responsibility is to their business. My responsibility is to you guys. And that will always have a division between us. That doesn't mean you can't be friendly with people. It doesn't mean you can't be courteous or kind or professional or even caring. At the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do, of course, right? Just like a boss does to their employees. But you know, that doesn't mean you can't speak to them. Doesn't mean you treat them badly or anything like that. So I guess that's where I'm at now. That's where my headspace is at. That's kind of what I'm trying to do with my channel. Not everybody even has to do that with their channels. That's what, you know, that's just my take on it anyway. So I'm hoping as an industry, we can do better with our coverage, knowing that me and most others are just dudes just trying to do the best we can. Or dudettes, or, you know, whoever you are, doesn't matter. I'm not trying to be picky on that. I just mean, like, you know, I'm not a trained journalist. I don't think Jesse is either. I don't think Alex is. I don't think most of them are. They're just trying to do the best that they see that they need to do, and hopefully we all continue to do that and all grow as an industry to really do better, because I think you guys deserve it. I think you guys deserve really good coverage, really accurate coverage that is not afraid to add commentary, but at the same time tries to be correct. Anyway, that's it. That's my 2 cents, guys. There's a lot going on. There's a lot coming up, of course. I will have a Tanaris review for you as soon as I can get more game time in. So that'll be there. I'm going out for a week on a business trip. I will make some videos for you guys for that time. I might even make one in a hotel room. We will see. Depends on how much time I have. Work trips are the worst, man. They keep you so busy. But either way, there won't be a pause in this channel, so stay tuned for a lot of good stuff there. I got some talking points to have with you guys too. Yeah, check out all the links down in the description below, and I'll talk to you guys again very, very soon with another video. Take care, guys. Bye.